In this video, we're looking at the difference between sex and gender. Oftentimes, people confuse the two. They mean to say sex and they say gender. They mean to say gender and they say sex. Sex is assigned at birth. So let's put that here. Assigned at birth. So when you're born, you're assigned to one of two categories, male or female. Now, in a very rare occasion, there's a third category, which is intersex. And intersex means that you don't fall in any of the two categories. You're not a male, you're not a female. Now, this is very rare. Now, doctors are able to determine your sex at birth using two key factors. The first one is physiological and anatomical. And when we say physiological and anatomical, we are talking about genitalia. And genitalia is sex organ. Now, doctors are able to determine your sex at birth, taking a look at this attribute. And as we know, the male organ is markedly different externally and internally from the female organ, sex organ. The second factor is chromosome and hormonal. This is hormonal levels. So this also helps doctors to determine and establish your sex at birth. And this is what is known as natal sex. Natal sex is sex that is assigned, the sex that is assigned to you at birth, natal sex. And then there is gender roles. When we say gender, we are referring to roles. And those roles are determined by society. And that's what is meant by socially constructed. So roles are socially constructed. And each society determines what roles the sexes are to play in society, right? In that particular society, each society determines that. And that's why you have differences across the globe as to expectations in this area. So in some societies then, a man's role is to provide for the family. And a woman's role is to be a homemaker. And this is the way it was way back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, 50s, 60s, and so forth. Now, the society is evolving and roles are changing. So we have women who are providing and we have men who are homemakers, taking care of the children and so forth. But when we talk about gender, we are talking about roles that are played or expected roles that are played by the different sexes in society. So as the example we just gave, so a male's role in society is to provide, among other things, and the female role in society is to be a homemaker, among other things. Those were the expectations way back in the 20s, 30s, and so forth. And some societies still have these expectations, although society is evolving, things are moving forward, etc. But roles, gender is referring to roles. And when talking about the physical, then you want to say sex. I'm a man, I'm a woman. Then you want to say sex, but you want to talk about your role as a man in society, then you're talking about gender roles. These are the roles that are expected to be performed by male, the role expected to be performed by female. So for example, mechanics are expected to be men, and nurses are expected to be women, right? So again, these are professions that have been gendered, and people expect it that way. Now, it's not always that way because there are men in nursing and there are women who are mechanics as well. So roles are crossed as society evolves. But roles, gender roles, are the roles that are expected to be performed based on your sex.